Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of the Xbox Hall Gamers podcast. We're finally back, and this week I'm joined by our wonderful producer, Charlotte.
Hello.
And our special guest, our special returning guest, I should say, Dio.
Emphasis on special.
Yes, as we were discussing before. So, if you're one of our patrons, we've decided that we're going to let you hear the absolute mess that it is when it comes to set up these episodes. So, you know, that's and you get to see kind of how the sausage is made. I'll warn you right now, very, very last minute.
All of the behind the scenes, you're just gonna get the dirty truth. It's great.
It's a fucking nightmare, is what it is. But anyway, we're finally back. We've had a nice bit of a break over Christmas and New Year's, and we're finally back doing the show. And we got a lot to talk about. Most of it's going to be sort of questions and what we've been playing, because at least in my case, I have played 21 different games over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So it's been pretty nuts. There's a little bit of news as well, but most of it's pretty light at the moment. We got the Xbox Direct next week, so we'll be curious to see what happens there, and we'll have more to talk about after that.
Yep.
But first, without any further ado, Charlotte's going to transition us to Song of the Week. Take it away.
Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is loud enough.
Oh, it's a beautiful game when you're looking for something fun to do. Hey, Okami, I'm finally gonna get to you. Is it the painted out style or just the nostalgia feels? Who can tell? I'm finally gonna get to you. I know it's my backlog, I'm waiting for a chance to show. And now I know it's a good one. Who cares if it's long? Got hours full of fun playing on. And so I'm in deep now. And it's go, 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 go. And it's paint, 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 paint. And you know, no, 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 no. 'Cause I'm ready for Okami.
All right.
So that should be a nice, easy one. I hope.
I got it pretty quickly.
It was a suggestion sent in to me, so I
got it too.
All right, yeah. Well, Dio, you're our guest. What do you got?
It's Bruno Jupiter Divorce You, right?
You nailed it. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I think I'm gonna nail you.
Yeah, no, I think that's. Is that the lyric? I don't even know at this point.
And what?
Yeah, Jason Derulo. Yes.
Bruno Jupiter, right, Dio?
Yeah, Bruno Jupiter.
Yeah, Bruno Jupiter. Divorce You.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cameron in the chat. Attacking me, didn't like it.
Cameron in the chat says Jason Derulo. No, it is not Jason Derulo, but I can understand why you might be mistaken. Yes, it is. It is "Marry You" by Bruno Mars. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually quite liked how that one turned out. But good job, guys. And speaking of Cameron, yes. So as you may have noticed, Cameron is not on the show currently. So he's taking a bit of a break. Well, he's got a few things going on. So we're just going to be trucking along.
So you still have me and Matt and guests.
Yep. And he might pop in as a guest every now and then, depending on how his schedule looks. But
if we can fit him in, you know.
We are very popular, so. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we've got a few questions. Again, it's been a little while since we've done a show. So we've had a couple of questions come in. And we've grabbed a couple from our good friend Isaac here. So we'll just get straight into it. We normally would interview Dio, but everyone fucking knows who he is at this point. He's
we
basically...
don't really want him to say too much, you know.
I'm Neo's boyfriend. Hi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll just retread jokes from last time.
Yeah.
They're not broken, don't fix them.
Yeah, long-time listeners will love that.
I mean, I'm just a spanner in the works. It's fine.
That's true, yeah. Yes, as David points out, yes, it literally is a Shadowless podcast. That's fucking genius. So Isaac's written and said, "Hey guys, Happy New Year. How did you do on your goals from last year? Also, do you have any new goals for this year? Thanks for taking my question. If you didn't have any goals, you can just look at your stats and talk about what you achieved last year and what you plan to achieve this year." Um, Charlotte,
Okay.
what about you? I'm sure you had quite a few goals for last year.
I did that. Yeah, hang on. Let me go and bring up my TA because I haven't looked at last year's ones because I've set up my new ones for this year and I kind of just skipped over what happened last year. So let's go and have a look at my goals because I've set up a bunch of new ones. I've got 3 new ones at the moment, but the ones that I had all 4 of mine last year. Well, 3 of mine last year because I had the 162-day streak, which was to get my 365 days or 60. Did I do 65 or 60?
69 was
yeah.
You did 369.
And because I set up the goal at 126, so I hit that one like super early. I hit it in when did
August?
I hit it? Yeah, goal reached on January 31st. So I think there was a prior one, but I still hit it either way. Oh, I know what it was now. I remember. So that was the goal that I set up to try and beat Matt.
Yes.
I remember now.
Yep.
I thought that was the one to get me to 369, but that was afterwards. So everyone who followed along the podcast last year will remember that I was trying to challenge Matt to an achievement streak and trying to beat his original record, which is 161 days, by getting 162 days. So I set myself up a goal on TA to actually hit it, and then we continued on because Matt then went on to get 365-day streak, and I then went and got the 369-day streak after that. So I did beat him eventually, but that was one of the goals, and then I had hit 50,000 gamer score, and then hit 100,000 gamer score, and I got both of those really early. My 100,000 hit on the 30th of June. Actually,
yeah,
and I'd set it up to go it was meant to go right through to the April. Oh, I hit it on April and I was meant to go to June, and I smashed it early. And then the 3 that I've got for this year, which I might add new ones because I'm probably going to hit them. I had 4. The first one was to hit 70% completion percentage, which I did within a day of me setting up that goal, hilariously. But my starting point was 69.96, so it wasn't that far away. My next goals are to hit 200,000 gamer score, and I'm currently sitting on 173,243. So I'm not too far off that. I'm almost halfway. I want to get to 75% completion percentage by June, and I'm already majority of the way there. And then my last one was to hit 80% completion percentage before the end of the year. Yeah.
Some good goals. Keep you nice and busy.
You can do it.
Yeah, I got this. I can do it.
What about you, dear?
Well, so last year, which I'm pretty sure I hit it in January, was to reach 90% completion, and just make it a backlog year. And I think also last year was when I reached 1 million, and that was also a goal. And I ironically, or non-ironically, did it with an achievement named after Red. And if it didn't work out, I had the achievement named after Shadow in the background also doing it.
You had the 2 ready to go, so it was one or the other.
I did have the 2 ready. Yeah, exactly. And with Far Cry 2 being back up, this year, 100% completion.
That's going to be big.
Or have all my games completed except Dead by Daylight, Smite, and Warframe.
Yeah, that's
understandable.
Because those 3 are...
goal.
Because those 3 are the ones that require more time than I want to put into it.
Yeah. And then what about you, Matt?
Just thinking about what I was working on. I
had a big one in April.
Yeah, I did. So you're hitting 2 million, being the first in Australasia to hit 2 million. So I managed that, which was amazing. Thank you for all the support there. I've definitely slowed down since then. Because I'm now only at 2.15 million. But I'm basically, I've shifted my focus. I mean, hitting that goal was it's been a big lifetime thing for me. I've been working on this shit for a long time now. So yeah, I think that was the big one. And then after that, I've just been playing more stuff that I want to do. I've been really, really focused on Game Pass recently. So it's been kind of what I've done is I've made a list. You know, they have the sort of play later list on Game Pass. So I've just grabbed basically like 30 different games on there, and I really want to try and get all of them done if I can, or as close to as many of them done as possible. So I'm making it very much like a Game Pass kind of year. I'm not planning on buying too many games. Same as last year. I'm trying to really stick to my like not buying games and just working through backlog and then using Game Pass to supplement that. And I have been going back to a few old games and finishing up some stuff. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm hoping to make this like another backlog year for me. I'd love to get up to like 97% completion, but looking at it now, I'm at 96.2 and it's 500 achievements to get up. So yeah, it's quite a big jump. Like 98 would be incredible, and that's probably as high as I'll ever get. I don't think I'll ever get any higher than that, but 97 I think would be a good goal for this year. I have been like kind of trying to figure out like, you know, is there anything else that I really want to jump on? Obviously, I want to play the Persona games, and there's a lot of stuff on Game Pass that I'm really interested in. I'm really curious about what they add, but it's given me at least like a little bit of like a through line, so I'm not always just looking at my list being like, what the hell am I going to play? At least I've reduced it down to, hey, here are the 30 games I kind of want to work on. And most of those are like sort of, you know, not like super. There are a couple like, you know, JRPGs that'll take me like, you know, 80 to 100 hours, but there's a few.
Most of the games on Game Pass that I want to play are JRPGs by now.
Yeah, it's like Ni no Kuni, Chained Echoes, Octopath Traveler, things like that. The big time investments, but there are a few smaller ones in there as well that I just kind of want to get done. Yeah, but like nothing like I haven't like got like TA goals set up or anything, but you know, and I'd also, you know, like to get my completions up a little bit. I'm sitting at like 2046. I'd like to maybe try and get maybe another 50 done this year or so, depending on how things go. But with backlog, you know, that does get a little bit difficult. But you know, slowly but surely, just every achievement helps. And then we have one other question from Isaac said, hey guys, I decided to go back and complete the DLC for Motocross Madness since it's delisted for the 360, but available for purchase on the One. Now I just need to get my 360 and sync my save across the cloud since I don't have that to start over. So I don't have to start over. Were there any games or achievements you thought you'd missed out on just to figure out a way to get them later on? Thanks for the show.
I mean, I just mentioned Far Cry 2 with the developers or Ubisoft finally bringing in the servers back up and then Microsoft fixing their issues. But another one that comes to mind is the GTA 5 online one for the 360.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was unmaintainable and they refused to fix it. But, I mean, if you just walk on the lobbies, which as Neo and me both encountered, there will be, you know, unfriendly hacker, very evil, that just magically pops the achievement for us against our, you know, honor.
To be fair, like the GTA stuff was I mean, it was the Wild West to begin with, but those last few like months before they shut everything down was absolutely insane.
Apparently now Red Dead 1 is the objective of that. If you're just in the lobbies, you might just get max rank all of a sudden.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not saying for you guys to do it because, you know, we don't.
You also don't want other things to happen to you too.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. You need to be a little bit careful. The Red Dead Online stuff is usually not too bad though. Thankfully, it's not too bullshit. Charlotte, do you have any? Again, you haven't been playing for too long, so you probably don't have too many scenarios like this.
I don't really, like, yeah, no, I don't really. It's not really, because I've only really been playing for almost 2 years, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't tend to go for like games where it's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, in my case, it's usually just stuff that like it's not so much like technical reasons. It's usually like skill or like setup. And again, I had one this week or over the last couple of weeks that actually sort of fits into that. Where it's like stuff that I've had in the backlog for ages that I'm just like, I'll never get this done. I'll never get this done. I won't have the group together or it won't, you know, and then suddenly it all works out and you get it and it's done forever and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But I've gotten towards the end of that, but as I go back to my 360 backlog and just being like, I'm just going to bash my head against this until I get it. Because I just need to get this stuff done. And I'm probably going to make that kind of one of my goals is to like plug the 360 back in and just try and complete some of this non-backwards compatible bullshit that I have sitting here. Because I still have a lot of games in that category that need to get done.
Raptor says iPhone Tropical 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Tropico 3 is a great example of that because like I've basically just been copying whatever Reptar's been playing. So I've just been like, oh hey, do you have a good guide for that? And he's like, here. I'm like, good. I'll just go and do that game then.
He's pushing through a lot of games though.
It's good to see him back in the saddle. Yeah, Dante's Inferno's peak 360 game in the chat. Exactly. That's a great example of one of those ones that I was just like, last year I didn't think I'd ever get it done, and then Kia was just like, fuck it, we're just gonna do it. And once I got back into it, it took us a few months, to really get it going. But once we actually got it, we just fucking steamrolled through it, and it was tough. And I wanted to throw my controller a few times, but we fucking smashed it out. And it was one of those ones that never thought I'd get done.
Max Payne 3 completion when?
Yeah, it's like Max Payne 3 is a great example, although that is backwards compatible, so I'm a little less...
Now it's backwards compatible, which probably makes the Hardcore New York Minute mode easier, because one of the main problems that Admiral and Martel encountered were crashes. I think Martel didn't get it because this game crashed one enemy away from completing the game.
That's so I've done all the online for that as well, so I really should go back and do that. But it's like that. It's the ones that I always complain about to you, Dio. It's the
Bioshock, Dishonored. Yep, I'll never forget.
Bioshock, Dishonored. Yep, exactly. Yeah, it'd be really, really good to get those done. I do try and go back to them every now and then, but I just have so many games to play.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for the questions, Isaac. Greatly appreciate your support of the show. All right. There isn't really much in the way of news this week. I'm just going to touch on a couple of topics really lightly. Apparently, there's a rumor that there's a new Plague Tale game in development based on some job listings for Asobo, which again, not super surprising. We did talk about how didn't have plans to make a new game, but I mean, this apparently 2 sold relatively well or did well, got a lot of accolades.
Money is a very convincing argument.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, funny that.
And yeah, like it won quite a few like Game of the Year, or it was definitely on like high up on a lot of people's lists for Game of the Year chat. And I can understand why. It's a great game. Other than that, I think the only other thing was the sort of obviously people have heard around the tech sector. There's been a lot of layoffs recently, and Microsoft just laid off like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Some of those people within the Xbox space, including ZeniMax with Bethesda, and 343 being one of the big casualties of that, the makers of Halo. Basically, I mean the only real news there is essentially that that they're basically 343 has been basically taken off of new Halo games, whatever that means. I don't know. I mean, I guess like it's kind of, we don't know what their plans are for the future, but apparently they're going to be like a support studio or like a management studio for future development of Halo games. So I guess it'll be interesting to see. Like 343 was created to do Halo, and now they apparently fucked it so badly that they're like, oh yeah, we're going to have to find some other people to do Halo, and you guys can just keep an eye on them. I mean, we had a lot of people leaving from 343. Do you have any thoughts about that? I mean, I've got my thoughts about Halo Infinite, but
I mean, it's not necessarily surprising because I mean, Halo Infinite had a lot of problem with launch, and even Halo 5 wasn't that well received overall. So they had to do something for 343, and everyone in the community kept complaining about it, and now they felt like 343 wasn't a good match for Halo.
Which is, it's a real shame, because I know like 343 was mostly made up of people who didn't want to leave Bungie, or who wanted to keep doing Halo, and so left Bungie basically. Exactly. The talk is apparently that they've basically, again, none of this is fully confirmed. It's just kind of from the talk around some of the developers who've spoken out. Apparently the campaign stuff has basically been scrapped, and that basically the focus is just going to be on multiplayer at this point, which is really unfortunate, because it really felt like Halo Infinite was built to have a lot of that sort of single player campaign content added to it with its open world. And then Cameron mentions, just Avengers is reaching end of life, which is not super surprising because it didn't do very well and it's been around for a few years.
Which is mine and Admiral's next project because of that.
That makes sense. Yep. And then Obsidian apparently wanting to do another Fallout game, which again they've talked about in the past, and now that they're both owned by Microsoft, it might happen. You never know. Um,
We have a question in the chat.
we do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. The question was, are Xbox, Microsoft, so would they be able to do anything about third-party device usage, like Zims, Cronus's, and Zens? Things like Titans and AutoFire and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Microsoft can do whatever they want, right?
Question is, would they? Is it worth
I
their
don't.
time?
Yeah, exactly. Would they?
I don't think so. It's the kind of thing that affects so few people that I don't like. There isn't really a big benefit for them to doing anything about it, because the kinds of people who use that stuff are probably going to be people who spend a fair amount, spend a lot of time on the console, probably relatively, hardcore gamers or whatever you want to refer to them as, right?
Yeah. The ones
And
that
you're
have
just
all
gonna
the elite controllers as well.
exactly the kinds of people you're just going to piss off by doing this kind of stuff. And the kind of people it impacts on the other end, which is very minimal. I mean, using a Zim for like multiplayer and that kind of stuff is kind of not great, but like at the end of the day, it's relatively small potatoes when you've got people in Warzone hacking through walls and using aimbots.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if people want to cheat, they'll find a way to cheat.
Yeah, and there are ways that are much more impactful and
Although I'm kind of loving some of the videos that come up on TikTok of like people playing Call of Duty and they like disguise themselves as a crate. Or a deck chair. That one was good. There's a video where 4 of them are pretending to be deck chairs and they just run around the ship as a deck chair.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that I don't think there's enough impetus for them to actually want to do anything about it. They've got a lot of other bullshit to deal with, especially in multiplayer at the moment. Especially in like the Call of Duty side of things. Got to keep prop hunt relevant in 2023. Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's kind of it for news. Like there isn't really a lot in terms of like news coming out. We'll kind of see what happens. But
I mean, the 12 battle royales that Ubisoft apparently had in development at some point, but which is crazy to think about since their last one was not successful at all. So I don't know what they thought about making 12 more.
Yeah, Ubisoft. I guess the other news was kind of that Ubisoft, Yves Guillemot basically came out and told his staff that the ball is in their court and they should cut their spending in order to save money, which is the most like fucking let them eat cake bullshit in the world. Which being French, he should probably know better. But yeah, people were up in arms, being like, "How about you, fucking get your shit together and the ball may be in our court, but the money is obviously still in your pocket."
Yeah.
Yeah, Ubisoft has not had a hit for a little bit. They are apparently not in the best position at the moment. And I can't. And I basically the sentiment that I kind of followed there was that most of the comments on the story were, "Yeah, I'm going to boycott Ubisoft games, just like I would if they were putting out games normally. In that they were all shit. I'm not going to play any of them." So
yeah,
I'm doing my part.
Ubisoft needs a change in management, kind of like at the Xbox division had, and put like a Phil Spencer-esque or someone that knows how to organize more and be more involved in with ideas, not just money. And even then you can see that he doesn't want to really invest more money in his company.
No, yeah, and they've been very militant about like stopping themselves from being acquired from like Vivendi and stuff like that. So yeah, I just can't think of an Ubisoft game that I've enjoyed recently, which is really a real shame because like I used to love the Assassin's Creed franchise. Far Cry, I really enjoyed.
I mean, even more than enjoy the last Ubisoft game that was remotely popular and well received. I mean, I think Immortals, and that's it.
Yeah,
and even then, Immortals was Zelda-esque. It's just a copy paste of Breath of the Wild. So
yeah, and like it did, I think relatively well for them, and I think they are working on like a new one. But like it was it wasn't like a AAA kind of huge development kind of thing they're going with.
Because even Valhalla, but Valhalla wasn't that well received. Breakpoint was a failure. Rainbow Six Extraction is Rainbow Six, so and even then people still cling to Siege.
Skull and Bones got delayed yet again for the 6th time.
I mean, Prince of Persia and Splinter Cell, they said we're working a remake and then nothing else.
Yep, and we haven't heard anything. And yeah, so it sounds like they're in a bit of a rough position, mostly of their own making, unfortunately. And David points out, you remember when Rayman was a Ubisoft flagship series? Exactly. Like, Rayman Origins and Legends was so fucking good. It's just, it's insane.
Oh yeah, I love playing that game 30 days in a row, or whatever it was, 3 months. Fucking best thing ever. Do all those dailies.
That was the only problem with that game, yeah.
Rayman is still their flagship, but it's just on their phone. You want to play Rayman fucking...
Rayman Run or whatever?
Yeah.
We got another question. I need to figure out how to say your name there. Is that Logs Iranta?
Simiratana?
Write it out in the chat how it's pronounced, buddy.
Logsy Miratana? That's fine. Go for the question.
So yeah, remember a post article about Microsoft buying the rights to Activision, which they're currently looking at the moment. Or that COD all the CODs would be on Game Pass. Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, I think that we've talked about it a few times on the podcast, but if the Activision deal goes through, they'll almost always, like, there's no reason why they wouldn't put it on Game Pass.
I think all Activision Blizzard games that are not licensed properties would end up in Game Pass. I mean, it's their way to attract new consumers.
Especially when they've basically committed to keeping the franchise, the Call of Duty franchise at least, on PlayStation as well. It's a great comparison piece to be like, hey, we're going to make a bunch of money selling this on PlayStation at full price, but if you want to get it on Game Pass day one for the free, quote unquote, then you can just jump over to Xbox and they win either way. So it makes perfect sense.
Now, if they are allowed to buy Activision and Blizzard, we still have to see.
That is there's been a lot of back and forth there, a lot of support and a lot of detractors. I'm very curious to see, because I remember when we talked about this when it first got announced, right? We were like, oh yeah, this will probably just go through and we'll just it'll be done by mid this year and it'll be done. Yeah,
I think the sentiment that we all shared was they wouldn't announce it if it wasn't going to go through.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm still relatively sure that it will happen. I feel like there's enough money in the works that
Europe approved of it like just this week or something like that. So I think the only ones that are a problem currently is the US.
Yeah, I think the UK also had some stuff around it as well, which not technically part of Europe anymore, apparently.
Well, yeah.
According to them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, at the end of the day, I don't really care, right? It's like, whatever. Like, it doesn't, I big faceless corporations buying big faceless corporations, right? But it is just interesting to see everyone come out of the woodwork with opinions on it. And that's pretty much it for news. So again, just kind of, just flying through it. Let's get into, I guess maybe we should talk about what we've been playing.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'll just quickly touch on what's leaving Game Pass. We just got that announced earlier this week. So was it Taiko Drum Master is leaving, Donut County, what were the others?
Telling Lies, right? And Worms WMD.
Yeah. Which I think has like a discontinued on it or something.
It has a discontinued and an unobtainable on the PC version. So
Jesus, okay. But I mean, I highly recommend Donut County. It's a hilarious, great game. Short little
good.
Couple hours. Definitely recommend it. Telling Lies is also rather short.
It's basically Katamari.
Yeah, with a hole. Yeah, exactly.
Telling Lies, I have my own opinions, which we'll get to at some point.
And Shadowless Cameron has some tips if you need some help with Taiko Drum Master. There's I think you need to do a bunch of like daily challenges. There's a way to just kind of hack that a little bit in terms of like messing with your internal clock on a PC.
Just play Megalovania and then uninstall the game. That's all you really need.
Yeah,
to
pretty
do.
much. All right. Yeah, so let's get into what we've been playing. It's been a while, so there's probably going to be a fair amount of chat. Charlotte, you want to go first?
Yeah, like I have a wow. Okay, so I've basically been playing a lot of trash. So I broke my gaming slump, so that happened. And I started playing a bunch of trash. I managed to do like 8,000 gamer score on the 22nd of December.
Wow.
And then January, my biggest day was like doing five. I completed 5 games in January. So I definitely used my holiday break well. But ones that are actually worth talking about, got the Nobody Saves the World completion with Mike, so that was really good.
Hey, we also got the completion.
Yeah.
Not with Mike.
Yeah. And we also had an amazing person help us get New Game Plus.
You're welcome.
So, yeah. So Cameron, Shadowless Edge, managed to help over 85 people with that New Game Plus achievement, which is amazing. Just from having the save, it makes a big difference. Like, yeah, 420 hours saved for the community. So that's like impressive effort.
I got us a lot of new members on our Discord as well. So hey,
Did, and not all of them have left, which is cool. So if you're here and you came from that, welcome. I am still working on Monkey Island, but I'm down to like the speedrun and the collectibles, and for some reason I'm not finding any trivia cards and it's driving me mad, so I've just put it on hold for a little bit until I have the energy. Matt and I finished As Dusk Falls as well.
we did, yep.
That was interesting. I kind of got a little bit sick of it after a little while. The story kind of loses its emphasis when you go on and on and on and on and on. It's kind of like...
Yeah, it really needed like a fast forward button once you've seen the scene before.
Yeah, like just to be able to skip. Like some of it was just like, I don't want to listen to the story again for the 10th time. I'm over listening to the story. I like the concept of the game. I just have a couple of fundamental issues with it in terms of like how it's set up and the menus and going through the menus and having to go back and forth and click this and then have to click that to go here, and like that was a bit of a pain, but like it was fun playing it through with the one story the first time round.
And thankfully, like we had a pretty good run and got like most of the most difficult stuff on our first run.
And that was just us playing it. We
Pretty
didn't
much,
really
yeah.
like look up any guides or anything. We kind of just went through the story the first time round, which was actually a nicer way of doing it, I think. What else did I get done? I did try to do a little bit more costume quest too, but I've realized that I have to go back and replay the story again because I've missed a couple of things. Which is not a problem. I actually really enjoy it, so I'm keen to do that. I also started Persona 5. Yeah, from recommendation.
I'm awake. I heard Persona. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
you did.
I
You're
heard
awake.
Persona. I'm awake.
Yep. So originally, the way that I was drawn into Persona 5 is that my boyfriend Dio said, "Oh, we'll play it together. We'll both play it at the same time. We'll go through the story together. We'll do it, and I'll make sure that you get the completion. We'll do it as like our date night thing." But okay, that's great. I love this idea. You know, kind of like watching an episode on Netflix, where you do it together, and you don't then go and play it without your partner, or watch the show without your partner.
Man, what an asshole your boyfriend is. Jesus.
Yeah, because every time I hear someone doing that, the partner never goes and watches the episodes later and then pretends that they haven't watched it.
Never,
I've never had that happen.
Never. They definitely don't go and like restart the game and play it on the hardest difficulty and then go straight past you.
Look. I told you that was gonna happen. I was like, I'll play it without you, and
yeah.
you're gonna hate me for it.
I don't hate you. It's fine. I'm just disappointed.
That's fine. Just another one.
We've found a new way of working around it though. So to help me get the completion, what I'm doing is I am streaming it so that Dio can watch me play it, and then he sort of gives me an incentive to sort of work through the game. It's a great game though. I really enjoy it. Like, I'm definitely going to get that completion because I want to now. Like, I want to. So I'm quite excited for that. And then hopefully I'll get to play the other personas as well. But I kind of want to do one at a time, just because I'm working through the number 5. I'm like, I'll wait to come back to 3 and that. But yeah, I'm still debating whether whether I'm Lady Anne or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure yet. And yeah, I played a bunch of. Yeah.
Teacher is best girl.
Yeah, teacher is best girl. I have definitely played a lot of trash. I'm just looking at my list here and I'm like, that's a lot of trash. And the other one I've been trying to play is The Bridge, which is quite cool. It's like MC Escher style, so the artwork's really cool. And you sort of do the puzzles by motion. Only downside is that some of the achievements are not popping when they should. So the one achievement that I had for like getting the sparks, the memories, did not pop when I got the last one. So I have to replay the game to go back and do that afterwards. So I've managed to work out how to fix the ones for the end of the chapter. I just have to go back and replay a couple of the episodes within the chapter. But the fact that like I have to replay it to go and find all of the sparks, and one of them was really hard to get as well. I'm like, oh, really? That's cool. Okay, it's fine. I'll do it. But I do like the game other than that. But it's puzzles again, and I really like my puzzles. So I've been doing a lot of puzzle games lately.
Yeah,
right.
Bridge was fun. I've done it twice actually because I think they released a stack. For it.
Yeah.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, there is indeed a stack for it.
I got a bit frustrated towards the end with some of the stuff, but like the earlier puzzles I thought were really, really cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. I like the puzzles.
All right. Dio, you've been working on a few things.
Yeah. So as usual, when games leaving Game Pass, I always pick the ones less than 50 hours and do them. Thankfully, this time I only had to Telling Lies, and so boring.
It's real boring.
It's boring. I tried watching all the videos or, all the things up until, up until 3 a.m. And then like the later part of the game, I just skipped through it because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And they weren't, I guess, dude was sleeping with multiple girls and then it was a terrorist or some shit. Something like that.
More than I did.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
I also played more towards the end of December Danganronpa, and I mean I already had played it back on PC and I already loved it, and I forgot how good the first one is. Except school mode. School mode is still boring, and trying to build the different versions of Monokuma.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot how good the story in the first one is, and
it's really good.
The third one kind of ruins a bit, and that's what I completely. That's the reason that I was not sure if I wanted to play it again, because my latest memory of the games up until this point was the third one, and but yeah, I forgot that some characters appeared in this one, and I'm not gonna say the rest because that's kind of spoilers, but I thought they appeared in other games. And yeah, I kind of already, obviously being a murder mystery, already knew who the killer was once I saw the cutscenes. Maybe it's not as good replaying through it, but it's still enjoyable experience. Far Cry 2 with the multiplayer being back up. I look forward to replaying the story. I know this is probably something that I'm going to regret saying because it didn't age well, and the weapons constantly breaking in your hands is definitely going to be annoying. But
having AK-47 literally explode in your hands while you're trying to shoot someone is pretty.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny, but like also really annoying.
The best part is it is happening in multiplayer, and I'm pretty sure it happens in single player as well, where the gun jams and you need to smash X, and I'm smashing X for like 30 seconds, and the gun is still jamming. I'm like, I'm dead. If this was like competitive multiplayer, I would be dead. There is no way that the enemy would just sit and wait for me 30 seconds to unjump the gun. And the other one, which is not on Xbox, because, well, it is on Xbox, but I mean testing on an emulator, because I'm hopefully going to be writing the TA walkthrough for it, is Persona 3 Portable. And I just finished my third test playthrough on the emulator, and I think I have everything more or less done. So I'm hopefully test it out on Xbox and see if everything pops when it should. There is some changes to it from what I've been seeing in the forums and some friends that have been playing it. Like, much like Persona 5, you can watch a movie to get intelligence or courage, and apparently they changed the stats for it. So there is a specific movie that you need to watch that in my original playthrough I wrote for you to watch right before an exam so you ace it. It's now giving courage and not intelligence.
Right.
So I need to change some things around, but overall, my main worry is so there is two specific bosses that if you do very specific things, like have a persona that nullifies or reduces the damage of the attack incoming, it's an insta kill for you.
Wow. Okay. Right.
Yeah, there's that. If you use one of specific fusion spells, it's insta kill. If you don't do enough damage on a certain round, it's insta kill.
Jesus.
So, I'm going to have to ask people to have a calculator nearby.
Right.
Because my strategy is gonna be there is a spell that does the maximum amount of damage possible. But if those bosses survive that, it's also an insta kill for you. So I'm just gonna have people do like once you're sure that they have less than 9,999 health, use that attack, but keep attacking until you have that. And I also need to check if you get like Persona 5 Royal, which Charlotte knows because I told her to use it if she wants it. You get Izanami no Akami no Pikaru, which is an OP persona that basically one-shots everything.
It's nuts.
I don't think Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden will get the same treatment, but since it's remastered, they might have put at some point you get those personas as well. Which hopefully will make, if they do, they'll make that boss a cakewalk, but because you also need to do that boss in Persona 4 Golden at some point.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see. There is a glitch trophy for PlayStation users, apparently. That doesn't seem to be the case on Xbox, however. So that's good for us, and a massive fuck you for Sony, I guess. considering that Persona became popular on their console.
Yep.
But yeah, it's dating sim with monsters.
Sure. Yeah, that's a way to describe it.
Yeah, the only and you can have as many girlfriends or personas if you choose to play as the female protagonist boyfriend as you want, and nothing will happen because I guess monogamy doesn't exist.
That's Cameron points out that there are rumors of Persona 3 remake, although there have been rumors of that for a while.
There is, I mean, it would make sense considering that they ported Portable to the console and not Persona 3 Festival, which is the
PlayStation 3
I would say the more complete edition, which is as like the 50 to 60 hour epilogue. It has new social links, but Portable allows you to control your own character, and it's in a visual novel style, which I guess is annoying for few. Which, I mean, if you're playing Persona 3 for the first time, definitely watch the intro from the original Persona. and watch the cutscene for when the protagonist gets Orpheus, which is the beginning persona. Because watching it as a cutscene, it really shows how dark the game is setting up to be. And Portable, unfortunately, doesn't have those animated cutscenes. It has still images, and that really breaks part of the immersive for that scene. But other than that, Portable is a good enough port, I'd say. So if they're making the remake for 3, it would make sense. I feel like Persona 2 and Persona 1 deserve a better remake before this, but sure.
That'd be a lot of work though for those older games. But I mean, it depends on what.
I mean, it would be easier. There is no social links. It's literally just a dungeon crawler.
It's just Shin Megami Tensei, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
That's about it. No, that's about it. I mean, my Persona rant is over.
All right. I'll strap in, guys. I've got a big list. So.
Really?
I went nuts. I was like, hey, I got a little bit of time off. It's the holidays. I don't have to prep for the podcast. I'm just going to go crazy and just try and finish as many games as I can. So I did Return to Monkey Island on Charlotte's recommendation because she was like, that has to be the next game you play. I had a really good time with it. It's great. The trivia card stuff is kind of bullshit, but whatever. I mean, no game's perfect, I suppose. I finally got Immortality done. Yeah, so I was, because again, it had been on my list for a while, and it was one of those ones that I wanted to play before the end of the year because I didn't get a chance to put it in my Game of the Year discussion. But again, another Telling Lies, Her Story, Sam Barlow joint. Probably the best
nudity.
One. Yeah,
that's the one with nudity, right?
Yeah, that's one you can't stream on Twitch.
No, you cannot. There are a lot of tits in this game.
That's fine by me.
It was real good. I liked it quite a bit. It was yeah, like I didn't quite get it until like I had basically gone through the entire story, and then like, because there's a bunch of, basically the whole thing is that you're going through movie clips, and when you click on like something, it'll take you to another scene that has a similar thing. So for example, if you click on like a knife, it'll take you to another scene that has like a knife or scissors or some sort of blade in it. And basically you want to keep doing that to basically see all the scenes. And then you'll notice as you go through, various scenes have these weird distortion. And if you play the track backwards, you unlock like something that's happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
I say behind the scenes. I don't mean behind the scenes in terms of production, because they do show you some of that, but like behind the scenes are like what's actually going on with the characters, because there is an actual through line story running through these 3 movies. If you don't know, basically the plot is that this actress was in these 3 movies. She disappeared for a period of time. These movies never got released or finished for various reasons, and you're basically trying to figure out what happened to her and the other people within this production. It's a really interesting intrigue. I'd love to do like a spoiler cast on it or something like that, because it's, again, like talking about it too much ruins the whole thing. But I was actually really impressed with the production values and everything with it, because it's really interesting. Did Nobody
You
Saves...
had me at boobs.
Yes, yeah, booba. I did Nobody Saves the World, so Dio and I ran through that, had a good time with it. Really good game.
Dragon is OP, Ghost is OP.
Yeah, Ghost is Ghost is so good.
Like top tier.
We had a good time. Thank you again to Cameron for helping us out with the New Game Plus stuff. Saved us a good 5 hours there. And managed to get done before I left Game Pass. I also did Ember, which is a good firefighting simulator. I think I've talked about it a little bit already. I also did Deathloop. Fine, again, getting back to the stuff that on Game Pass I really wanted to do. Deathloop is so fucking good. If you like the arcane style, like Dishonored style game, like Deathloop is basically just, it's like that combined with Omen Sight. Whereas I wasn't quite sure how the time mechanic would work. But the whole thing is that, like, instead of it being like a true time mechanic, it's essentially like 4 phases of a day, and you pick what locations you go to and what you do at those locations. And as you go through them, you learn more about like the characters, and you learn more about their habits, and you also learn how to manipulate them to eventually, you have like a bunch of different paths that all kind of get down to one perfect path where you're like, okay, I know if I do this here, these people will be here, these people will be here, these people will be here. And it's like, okay, I'm going to hit them here, them here, them here. And to get basically the 4 phases you go through, you basically eliminate everyone in that run and complete the game.
In the Dishonored universe, apparently. they have confirmed that it's in the same universe, and
I could see it.
the main voice actor, I don't know if it was for the male or the female, I believe it was the male lead, said
Yeah.
that he's already working on with Arcane, so I don't know if it's a sequel or a DLC.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be a DLC. Like they I know it was definitely like an inadvertent slip because they moved on very quickly after he said it. But yeah, looks like they're going to be doing more of it, which is great. It also is the nice thing because it's like on a loop and you're just kind of playing through the same bits over and over again. Like,
yeah,
I got through the main story in about 8 hours, but there's really good creativity with the achievements and stuff. It's like, okay, do this kind of weird thing, do these challenges. One of them was like, go through a loop and kill everyone, but don't be seen by anyone, or don't alert anyone, and don't kill anyone else except for your targets. So like again, they take some inspiration from like the Dishonored style of achievements and like adding in creative challenges because it has that loop, so you can just keep playing the same 2 levels over and over again. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. It's a little bit buggy in places, but like whatever. Like most of it was totally fine. Definitely,
it's Arcane.
Yeah, exactly.
They usually don't miss.
Yeah, it's I'm surprised it did. Yeah.
No, don't finish because I was going to mention something else already.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm surprised that like more people didn't jump on it. I would definitely recommend it if you have any kind of interest in those kind of first person, sneaky workout, like interesting ways of taking out targets kind of games.
I was going to say, I wonder if they're going to make a sequel to that, Dishonored, or if they're going to make a sequel to Prey next, or if a whole new IP.
I'd love them to do a sequel to Prey, but I know Prey didn't was their kind of like that Prey was their big one that they were like, this is going to be the big hit. This is the one we're putting a lot of time into, and it's an amazing game, but it just didn't hit for some reason. I'm not quite sure why.
I mean, I wouldn't say that the original Prey didn't attract a lot of attention. So, already pulling in an IP that isn't famous to begin with and advertising it as a reboot, not the best strategy. But
I mean, they're remaking System Shock, which essentially is what Prey is. I really like Prey. I still have to do the Moon Crash stuff, but I don't know if I'll ever get around to it.
Yep.
That's the one part where I was like, oh, Christ, I hate those kinds of add-ons.
I mean, the TA walkthrough for that is super detailed.
I might, maybe I should get back to it then. Oh, thank you, Ojin.
Thanks,
Ojin's subscribe. Really appreciate it,
mate.
I also did Danganronpa V3. I had been putting it off for a little bit because obviously I enjoyed 1 and 2. 1 and 2 had those annoying school mode. They took out school mode for 3, but added a bunch of other shit in instead.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a couple of like 3 really annoying mini games or like casino games that are quite challenging. And actually the one that I got stuck on the most was the easiest one apparently, which is the fishing one, because I'm colorblind. So I can't tell the difference between a green and a red fish. Yeah, that took me a long time to get through. Allison was able to help me by pointing on the screen where they are. So yeah, thank you.
Credit where credit is due.
Yes, credit where credit is due. Thank you very much. I got the racing one done okay, and then there's actually a solver for one of the last one, which is probably the hardest one. It also has like a full dungeon crawl RPG in it, which is really fucking weird. It's a relatively basic RPG, but the whole thing is that you have to play this board game to level your characters up. And then you have to go to a gacha machine to unlock the characters, and then play a board game to level them up, and then send those characters into the dungeon. But there's also an achievement for unlocking all the characters and then running them all through the board game, which is just really tedious, to be honest. The RPG stuff wasn't too bad, but toward the final boss is a real bastard. So that was kind of like story wise, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not going to say anything about how it ends because it's insane. As these games always tend to get, but this is even more insane.
I'd say they kept escalating it from one game to the other.
Yeah, and let me put it this way: I don't know how they do another game after this. But
I don't think they wanna. That's why
I don't know. Yeah, it's we'll see. But it was very, very interesting. Overall I had a good time with it. It overstayed its welcome, just like the other ones did. But yeah, definitely recommend it. But it is one of those ones that I would say get onto well before it's leaving Game Pass, because this is like a 60 to 70 hour completion.
I feel like Danganronpa 3 is the one where they just kept throwing shit at the board and see like, oh, this sticks, and just add as much shit as they could into the game. Because I mean, the second one already, the second one to me, from what I remember, is the perfect story.
Yeah, I like 2 a lot. I still think 1 is
at least crime wise, the killings wise, I feel like two is much better, and with none the executions, and that's the main point of attraction to Danganronpa. So I think that's just going to be a hard thing to top, and with 3 it basically was that.
3 is really good at playing on your expectations of the other 2. So like they basically assume that you've played the other 2 games and kind of fuck with you, which is really interesting.
I mean, to their credit, who would play the third one of a series when there's like such a small release space between the 3?
That's very true. No Man's Sky, I also did. Thank you to Keo for helping me out with the permadeath achievement. The nice thing about that is once you've got that out of the way, you can put all the assists on and just kind of cruise through the galaxy at your own pace with like unlimited health, unlimited resources, and just kind of visit planets and shit. This is another one of those games where I'm like, survival games are not for me. I don't find any, like doing the permadeath thing of like having to constantly look for resources to keep my oxygen and my radiation shielding up and all that kind of stuff, which is like no fun to me at all. Like it just felt like an absolute fucking slog. And made me kind of remember that I was like, yeah, like survival games are not my kind of thing at all. And if it didn't have the assist modes, I probably wouldn't have played it. Did Frog Detective. Cameron recommended that as a PC Game Pass game. It is a very, very basic point and click. You play through like 3 little stories. It's all very stupid and self-referential. You play the second best detective because Lobster Cop, who's the best detective, was not available, so they call you instead, and you just go and solve some really dumb mysteries. It's very cute.
That's okay. Because exactly, it's okay. That game, everything is forgiven because the frog is adorable.
Yeah, the frog is super adorable, and it's also like it's very funny, very meta. I definitely like it's short, like it's like 3 or 4 hours or whatever. I would definitely recommend it. Just check it out if you have a PC Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate. Also did Infernax, halfway there, guys. This Infernax, which is another sort of side-scrolling Metroidvania on Game Pass. It has assist modes. You can put in the Konami code. So basically, you're like a mace-wielding knight who's basically returned to your land after, a crusade or something and found out the demons have taken over and got to fuck things up. It has like a whole like morality system where you can be like good and evil. And it also has the Konami code, which turns you into like a Contra style, like turns you into like bandana wearing Rambo with a machine gun, which completely breaks the game, which is so much fun. Definitely good. Like it's only like a maybe 5-hour completion. There's a walkthrough on some trophy walkthroughs. I think Cameron is also working on like a 360 version. Oh, sorry, an Xbox version that kind of changes some of it, because there are a couple of changes that they've made with recent updates, but it's very, very straightforward. Did Amnesia Rebirth, another Game Pass game. It's good. It's really good. It harkens back a lot to the first game, as opposed to Machine for Pigs. There is a speed run that's a little bit tight, but there is a glitch that you can do to basically shave off like 30 minutes to make it nice and easy. So I definitely recommend doing that. Did Paparazzi before it left Game Pass. That was cute. You got to take pictures of dogs. It was glitchy. I had to redo the game for one of the achievements, which was not great, but it's what it is.
I had my own theory, and I tested it out with Mike, and it seemed like I figured out why it was glitchy in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tracker only goes up when you buy stuff from the store. The stuff that you unlock naturally doesn't progress unless you buy it afterward, unless you buy something afterwards.
Yeah.
So just get everything natural and buy the last thing on the store, and the achievement should pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very unlucky because I had like 2 things left and then they unlocked naturally, and I didn't realize I was at like 98%. But annoying. I spent like another 40 minutes on it, but whatever. I also did Young Souls on Cameron's recommendation. I had to do it twice, which is a bit of a pain because one of the achievements glitched out of me. The assist mode makes it relatively straightforward. You do have to play on the hardest difficulty, but you'll be fine. It's like a 6 to 8 hour completion, side-scrolling brawler. needs online co-op, but you can play it 2-player co-op, and it's relatively straightforward. It definitely felt like a game that kind of had like cut content, because you get to like they set up like a your sort of rogues gallery of bad guys that you're going to fight, and you're like, oh cool, I'm going to fight like one per dungeon. And it's like, no, there's only actually 3 dungeons, and we just throw the last like 4 of these guys at you, like one in a row at the end as a boss rush, because we ran out of time to make the game or whatever. I don't know. Finished up How to Survive Storm Warning with Mike. Thank you very much for your help there, Mike. Smash that out, and I'm going to have to do the 360 version now. I also did Rainbow Billy Curse of Leviathan, which recently came out to Game Pass. Yeah, it's a decent like sort of platformer with a sort of RPG, like it's like part platformer, part puzzle solver, part RPG. Has an interesting thing where basically every character that you find, or these little creatures that you find and befriend, has like a shape, and basically the enemies you have to fight have shapes, and you have to use the cards that have the shapes to fill in their thing to basically defeat them. But most of the enemies that you find have question marks, so you need to try and figure out what shapes fit into their list to defeat them. It has like 60 creatures, it could, if the game was like half as big and like they had like 30 creatures, because you also need to like level the creatures up to like level 3 and like give them gifts and like dual fishing and stuff, and it took me like, I think it was like 15 hours or something, and it really could have easily been like half the length and it would have been just fine. It just really overstays its welcome, unfortunately. Kind of a cute game. It does fall into that category, that indie game category of this is a metaphor for depression kind of thing, where it was like, okay, right. But it was relatively straightforward. Some of the sorry,
you did say that half of those pets and stuff, and the gift is RNG, right?
Yes. So you would need to go fishing for the gifts to give to these creatures, so they ask for stuff. And it's RNG which gifts you get. So sometimes you just don't end up with the ones you need, which is a bit of a pain. You can just like punch through it and just feed them like regular fish, but it takes a lot longer. Which is what I did in the end, because I was like, fuck this, I'm just gonna do it. But like I said, they could have easily just done 30 instead of 60. Because they don't really have that much personality. Also did Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Finally, I know people have been saying that I should be playing this for ages. This is one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. It is so good. I think it's even better than the first one in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're gonna agree to disagree.
There are parts about it that I don't like as much. I think that the addition of the weapons and all the other bits and pieces they don't add enough to the game, and I feel like I also get a bit overwhelmed with all the shit they give you.
You see, that's the one thing that I think they did better than the first one. So
really,
we're a complete opposite sides here.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked how they're like, oh, we add the spear and we add like the throwing stars and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is like all those abilities like use energy. Whereas like I would have been a lot more interested if they just had like, oh, the sword or an axe or a spear, and they all kind of play differently, but then you can just like swap out your regular attacks for slightly different ones. Story-wise, I think it's fine. It's good. I mean, it's relatively standard, light touch. Liked it quite a lot. Tugs at the heartstrings, as those games always do. Is absolutely beautiful. Like, is an incredible looking game. Escape sequences are fantastic. The easy mode that they added is really nice to just kind of breeze through the game. Definitely like highly recommended, especially if you've enjoyed the first one. It's just more of the same.
If only the studio was better.
Yeah, that is the other bit. Yeah. Yes, this might be the only one that we ever see. I don't know.
I mean, they did, after this Ori was released, they did say that they were interested in doing other games, and that Ori, I mean, even the ending, not spoil it, doesn't leave much for a sequel. They
kind of leave maybe a little bit of like, well, they could do something, but
yeah, but I mean, in the same universe, but the Ori's story in itself is finished, and it's closed.
It's pretty wrapped up.
Yeah.
And then the one that I was talking about like going back and finishing unexpectedly, was Binary Domain. So finally, over the last 4 weeks, found a group who were doing the multiplayer, and they were gracious enough to help me out. And we ran through the invasion mode, which is their sort of horde mode, 50 waves, three maps. And we did like one a week. First two were really easy. Last one got a little bit hairy towards the end, but we absolutely fucking smashed it. Did have some connection issues on one of them, so we had to redo it, but it's done. It's one of those games that I've had sitting there since like 2014 that I did like on the 360. It's my last big online grind that I had left from those days. So now it's pretty much just like, if I ever want to do like Gears 3 is pretty much the only other one left. Which I don't know if I'll ever do, but
you'll do it.
So I'm so happy to have it done. It's a really good feeling. I ran through High on Life because they patched it apparently and then broke it again, which is very fucking annoying.
They
High on Life is
patched
great.
the thing that was wrong and then they broke something else. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. So if you'd already got up to the part with the that needed the patch, then you could probably get it done. If you haven't, then chances are the enemies that you need won't respawn after you finish the game. They are looking to patch that as well, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I can't get the Greebles or the Hunks to spawn, unfortunately.
I mean, speaking about ill-timed games with, another thing that I'm kind of happy for a podcast about gaming to talk about.
Yeah, Justin Roiland apparently is a shit human being. What a fucking surprise. But the game itself
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that made all those jokes on Rick and Morty. I'm surprised.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. But the game itself is fucking great. It's actually like a pretty good shooter. I liked most of the humor. Like most of the jokes were pretty good. It's a little bit hit or miss sometimes, but like the majority of it, like I laughed. There's some good like side shit in there. I got called a dipshit for looking at a TV for like 9 minutes waiting for a countdown. There was a part where I was jumping into a hole and Kenny, the main gun, was like, "Oh, what is this? What is this? Donut County now available, usually on sale on all good indie services. Go check it out." So it's good to see that they're promoting from within.
Did you watch the entire movie within the game though?
I did not watch Tammy the T-Rex with Paul Walker, and Janice Richard. Although apparently they licensed the entire fucking movie.
The entire fucking movie is inside the game, and you can literally just go in and sit and watch the entire movie, start to finish.
Yep. So
have you seen what happens when you break the game? Like you go out of bounds?
No, I haven't.
And it's the dude is like, there's a little dude appears and it's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be here. Oh, you're a speedrunner? That's okay. You can keep going." And then you break it again. It's like, "You shouldn't do this. You know what? You're banned. We're gonna put your name in the toilet and we're gonna piss on it. That's what's gonna happen. Your name is a piss toilet now." It's pretty funny.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. They have they've thought out a lot of the stuff, and it was about the size that I was expecting, right? Like it's a kind of like 10-hour kind of game. It does overstay its welcome a little bit with all the challenges you have to grind out and that kind of stuff. But like I had a good time exploring it. There's a lot of collectibles, so definitely use a guide for those. But what I would advise doing is basically getting through the end of the game and then go back clean up later, because it has that Metroidvania of like getting new guns, learning new abilities, so you can explore new areas. But I laughed a lot. I had a really good time with it. Speaking of overstaying its welcome, I also played Fuga, Melodies of Steel, which is the furry war simulator. Furry This War of Mine, as Firehawk put it. And I agree with him. It is essentially you are a bunch of furries, or fursonas, or whatever, I don't know, fucking anthropomorphic animals who are in basically France fighting off the Burmans, which are a bunch of German shepherds. And it's basically just World War II, but you're in a giant tank from the past, from an ancient civilization, and so you're a bunch of kids manning the tank, going through, and just you're on a linear track, just fighting off enemies. It's a tactics, like it's sort of like a turn-based RPG with like a timeline mechanic, so you have to like delay your enemies and like make sure you use like defending at the right time and heal at the right time, and try and like time your attacks for when they're going to attack you. It's pretty good. It definitely overstays welcome, because you need to do like 2.5 playthroughs to really get all the achievements. The New Game Plus is relatively straightforward, but the story is just kind of not great, unfortunately. Because like you basically have a thing called the Soul Cannon, which is like your like last ditch effort. If you're like really getting munched by a boss, you can chuck one of your kids into the Soul Cannon, and use their energy to just destroy your enemies, but obviously you lose the kid. Obviously there's an achievement for not doing that. But because any kid can die, they don't really get any development. And so like you do a thing where the sort of social link thing where you go around and talking to your characters to try and build their bonds up so they can use like link abilities. But like every like 5 levels, it's like one at level 2, one at level 5, one at level 10, you get like a little like link event where they just talk for a couple of seconds. All of those are pointless and just kind of feel like they're thrown in. They're like a couple of lines of dialogue that don't really matter about anything. So I just started skipping them. Yeah, the story is definitely the weakest part. The game itself is okay. You kind of get to choose between like going through like normal routes, safe routes, or dangerous routes, and you fight like elite enemies. And the strategy can get quite involved in like trying to figure out like, okay, who my combinations of my team, because eventually you unlock like 12 and you have 3 gunners and then 3 supports. And so the gunners are like a cannon who's like slow but powerful, grenadier, which is like medium, and then you have machine gunners, which are quick but low damage. And so each character has different abilities, and then whoever you match with them will give a bonus. So one of the characters is like, okay, well, you attack faster, or you do more damage with abilities, or you do more damage with normal attacks, or you regain health with normal attacks, things like that. So trying to mix and match kind of like what the best combination is also part of the strategy. It's like a really interesting game. I know they're doing a sequel. It's not overly difficult. The first playthrough is probably going to be the hardest. It is one of those things where there's also like, between battles, there's that management system of like you can cook for the people to like give stat bonuses for the next few fights, or you can talk with them to raise your stats or raise your link stats, or you can grow things in a garden, or you can do scrap fishing to get materials to upgrade the tank and things like that. So like there's a lot of like that sort of semi management aspect. Yeah, like it's the kind of thing where it's like it has 2 different modes and neither of them are like super well fleshed out. Most of them they're kind of just okay. So like it's an okay game. It's like a 7 out of 10. It's on Game Pass. It's about 30 to 40 hours. Not overly difficult, just kind of a bit long. Home stretch, did Road 96 because Mike recommended it. If you like your sort of Telltale style, your decisions matter kind of games, this is really interesting. Basically, you play a bunch of teams trying to escape a tyrannical country, trying to get to the border. And along the way, you meet a bunch of characters and you basically have to make decisions around like, okay, how do I interact with these characters? And also like, what do I do? How do I influence these things? And you play as like 6 different characters, and there's like an overarching story that goes between them. But obviously, you get to the border. Whether you get across the border or not, it's kind of up to you. I didn't get across the border all 6 times. I'll tell you right now. It's a little bit janky. A little bit like it's like obviously it's a very indie game. A lot of interesting ideas. Every character you play through, like their journey is procedurally generated in that there are a bunch of scenarios and you're never quite sure what scenario you're going to get, depending on like whether you catch the bus or hitchhike or steal a car or just walk, like you'll just run into different events. Definitely recommend it. It's like an 8-hour game. The overall story is really interesting. And it's pretty straightforward. There's only like a couple of missable achievements. The TA walkthrough is really, really good. So definitely check that out. Also, just the other day, I started Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil in Me, which is the final part of season 1 of the Dark Pictures game. It's a slasher movie, like Michael Myers, serial killer stalking you around a house where you can't escape. I'm trying to get out. I like the tone. I think it's probably the best one that they've done in terms of like.
I was about to say, can we agree? It's the best one.
I think it's the best one. I definitely think it's the best one.
Yeah, I also, because I saw that Shin said that his favorite one is still
House of Ashes.
House of Ashes, and I was like, that's the worst one.
I like House of Ashes for the most part. But I still think, I think this is the best one they've done. The character stuff is kind of, again, is a little bit weak. I think the characters have been better in the other games, but like the setting is really good. Like I like the puzzles for the most part. I like the decisions. I like the sort of Saw-esque traps and things like that.
Having only played in co-op, in single player, have you done the section where like the girl, the one with the asthma attacks,
Aaron,
as the headset, and you are with the mic running around the house using it, or is that only?
Yeah, you
That
do.
part, because of my headset, it was messing around with me so much that I had to ask Mike to pause the game because I was getting really unsettled playing it because it was fucking with me up. That part, and because I was still actually we're trying to explore every tiny bit. I was like, I hear the sound there, so let me just go there, and then the sound will just intensify. And I'm like, I can't do this now. Need to pause it.
Yeah, it's really like they ramp up the tension really, really well. And like the theories about like what's going on and that kind of stuff. Like I think this was a really good like direction for them to go in. I definitely think it's the best one they've done. And so I'm nearly done with it. I need to do like a sort of a co-op playthrough to get a last few collectibles, but I've tried, like I've seen both of the like main endings, and I'm very curious to see. And I've seen what comes next for the next game that they're doing, and I'm very fucking excited. But obviously I won't spoil anything.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. There is two routes that they could take, and I really hope it's the good route.
Yeah, I agree. Also, a nice little Easter egg from that is like right at the beginning of the game, you find a plaque for the Cassiopeia, which is a ship that crashed on the rocks there, which is the same name as the thing in the next game, which is a very interesting kind of like tie-in. I like how they leave little hints of stuff like that throughout those games. And then the last one I've been playing, which is my the impetus for Song of the Week this week, was Okami. Been in my backlog for a while. It was recommended by Reptar. I never played it on the PlayStation 2. It was one of those ones that, like, again, I was a kid, couldn't afford it, but I'd heard really good things. This game's amazing. It's fucking great. Like, it is like very much like Wind Waker style Zelda game. Looks beautiful, plays really well. Could really use a lock-on system for the combat, but other than that, it's just absolutely fantastic. You basically play a fox who helped defeat Orochi, the 8-headed serpent god, 100 years ago, and now they've returned, and so you have to go back, take up the mantle, regain your abilities, and go back and fight him.
Isn't it a wolf? I was pretty sure Okami was a wolf.
Sorry, yes, you're wolf. Yes. And so like the game, it's a lot of game. Like I'm now up to like the point of no return right at the end where I have to like clean up everything, and it's taken me like 30 hours. And like I've got to a couple of points where I was like, oh, this is the end of the game, right? Nope, definitely not the end of the game. They're like, the game just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm now at the point where I got to clean up like the annoying like side quests and like mini game stuff, which is a bit annoying. I got to like the fishing mini game and a couple of races and things like that. But really, really enjoying it. I've had a great time with it. Highly, highly recommended if you haven't played it. It's on sale quite often because it's a Capcom game. But yeah, that is everything I've been playing over the last month. I know it is a very exhaustive list. I apologize for taking so long. But it is an app. Like there's been a lot of really, really good stuff. And
like a Ubisoft game, we needed open world icons to pad out the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, we had to make up some time.
We need to climb up those towers.
Yes, exactly. All right. I think that's pretty much it for games we've been playing. Charlotte, you want to go through the leaderboard?
I can indeed. If only we'd done this a week ago, I would have been up in second place, but that's okay. In the third place, we have the Natolinator with 5,440. In second place, we have the Moonzom with 5,805, and then in first place, we have Thrash Forever with 7,065.
Wow, the Thrash Forever just made a quick comeback because when we started the show, he was in second place. That's impressive.
Yep.
All right. We'll get into completions next week, obviously, because it's been a while. We've had quite a few. So let's get into the word challenge. So if you don't know what the word challenge is, basically it's something that I come up with every month or so, where I pick a game and then I give some very fucking esoteric clues, and you have to guess what the game is on our Discord, discord.ir/HallOfGamers. We have a channel in there called Word Challenge. You basically put the exact title of the game, a gift pops up, and you win $20. $20 New Zealand, Australian, whatever. We'll make it work.
It's not The Witness.
It's never The Witness. People have been guessing The Witness, and I do have reaction gifts for when people guess The Witness, which I change each time. But it's not The Witness. You can only guess once per hour, so don't fuck with it too much. But the clue is, and I put a call out while I was making this for types of clues that people wanted, and someone suggested a Kirby-esque clue. So when Kirby used to run this challenge back in the day, he would give the most unhelpful hints possible.
Yep.
So this hint is the hint is Australia. That's all you're getting, Australia.
Good luck.
So good luck. Yeah, you guys will. Yeah. So it's Australia. You can go in the word challenge. I'll update the channel after the show goes out. But yeah, go out and guess your games. You got one guess per hour. I want to see a lot of good guesses in there. I want to see some weird. I want to understand what people are thinking about, like what Australia means and what sort of shit.
Let's go through Shadows games and go one by one.
Yeah, exactly. You can start with that, whatever you want to do. All right. And now we want to thank our Patreons who allow us to run this show. We greatly appreciate your support. Charlotte.
Cool. So we have Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Chapter, Natolinator, Firehawk, Mad Lefty, G Spaceman, Admiral, Keo, Heavy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavaliers 07, Old Mate Clown, Mark B, McLovin, Legend.
Thank you very much, guys. Your donations basically pay for our Zoom license, for our competitions, for some of our equipment, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I also want to give a special thanks at this point to Game on Cancer and Shane Magic Casts for being absolutely fantastic human beings in general, but also they've been nice enough to send us a voucher for some neon for a neon order, which Cameron is working on at the moment, which we might see in the future, as well as a new Rode mic and headset, which would be really, really great. So I'm going to be getting that shipped over here and upgrading my setup, which would be really, really greatly appreciated because I've had this mic here for quite a while and I could definitely use a bit of a tune-up. So thank you so much, guys. And obviously we want to support Game on Cancer as much as we can. We'll probably be doing another live stream.
Yeah.
For them later this year.
So you're starting Forza Motorsport, just the new one for each certain
goal. God, I need to be really careful. I need to like up those challenges because fuck me.
Gears 5?
Yes.
We'll think of something good. We'll come up with something good.
But that's kind of going to bring us towards the end of the show. Like I said before, discord.io/hallofgamers is the place to come hang out with our community. You can come hang out on our channel. We've got a questions channel where we pull the stuff for the podcast. We've got the word challenge. We've got stuff like, TV, music, all that kind of stuff, along with just regular podcast things. A lot of gaming chat recently. But good to get some new community members in there as well. We greatly appreciate everyone's support. As always, the show's live on Twitch. We're looking at, I think, mostly doing Saturdays now going forward, but we'll kind of depends on our guests, Fridays and Saturdays. Twitch is Xbox Hall of Gamers. It's a place to find us. If you're not watching us live, you can come see our beautiful faces and engage in the chat and ask questions. And if you want to contact us in other ways, hallofgamerspodcast@gmail.com is our email address, and we're on Twitter at hallofgamerspod. Otherwise, subscribe to us on your platform of choice, leave us a review, tell your friends. Word of mouth, as always, is huge for us. And now, if you'd like to be on the show, Charlotte has come up with a wonderful form that you can find on our Discord. That should, I believe, if you've been pinned on the.
Yeah, I don't know if I've pinned it yet. I'm going to, but I'm also going to do a post on Twitter after the show as well.
Wonderful, yeah. So if you want to be a guest on the show, feel free to fill out that form. We'll see if we can slot you in. We're relatively flexible around kind of moving the times a little bit in terms of like trying to get people on. So just let us know what works for you, and we'll see what we can.
You can put in your availability onto the form itself, and then we can work from there. Yeah. Wonderful,
and you can be just like Dio, but not too much like.
Disappointed and sad on life.
Yeah, well, I mean that's that's just the human condition.
He says this, and yet he still has me.
Oh.
Look, I didn't say, the S word. So...
I just threw up my mouth a little bit. All right, well, that's going to be it for the show. Thank you to our wonderful audience for tuning in. Thank you to our wonderful Patreons for paying us. And thank you to my wonderful guests. Dio, if you want to be found, what are your details?
All right, so my social security number is this. Ready? No, I mean, you can find me on Discord alongside on their Discord, and TA Twitter, I think it's Galaxy, maybe Galaxy Xbox on Twitter, I'm not sure, and I'm too lazy to check now. So yeah, if for some reason you want to message me, just find Charlotte and she'll tell me.
Yeah, there you go. And speaking of that, Charlotte.
Well, that's going to be really awkward because I just tell people not to just don't talk to me. So like,
all right. Well, I guess no one's talking to anyone.
But we are a package deal, so like, if you want to find me, you probably also need to find Dio as well. But I am on Twitch under Charmanosaurus_Rex. I'm currently taking a break until I can work out life work streaming balance, as well as like medication and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll see me back again soon. I'm just in Auckland with my niece who just arrived, so it'll be a little bit of time. On Twitter I'm AudreyChar. On Xbox I'm AudreyChar. What about you, Matt?
So I'm Neomaster on everything. True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. I don't really stream or do anything, but you can always, just at me in the Discord is usually the best way to get a hold of me. I'm almost always on there. And that is going to bring us to the end of episode 65. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen. Bye.